Hey everybody, it's Crazy Logics 007 on YouTube, Crazy Logics in the forum, and I'm Damon. Got a couple of Punch 45 HDs here. You should have seen this one before, but I got this one in new. I'd like to give a big shout out to Dustin at Beat King Car Audio. I got this one from him. Definitely know it's probably got a bad PMI board in it, and maybe a channel was bad. I'm not quite sure. We're going to check it all out, but I wanted to show you kind of what I do on one that I've never touched, never opened. I haven't opened this one on purpose. And then we're going to discuss PMI boards, and while I'm doing all that kind of stuff, I'll tell you about where we're at on some things. So let's go. I take a Q-tip, I snip it off, and give me a little pointer. I get my little stainless steel dish. And you get some WD-40, some oil, some knocker loose, some zip preserve or whatever. But I get down in here. Sorry, you couldn't even see that. And see how I'm coating the threads of that screw. I'd put it in here so that I don't make a big old sprayed mess. If your amp's all tore to heck and you're going to be like sandblasting it, or at least hand sanding down all the bumps and stuff and giving it a new finish, then you can clean the WD-40 off a little easier. I just try to do this so that it's not done. This one is in really good shape, so we're going to keep it all original. This one is also the textured version of the label. There was different label types, all different made. This amp has got one of my labels on it. You know the slight difference, but there's actually a difference between the one that's the smooth, that's got raised emblems. I can show you that on a Punch 75, I believe. Yeah. So there's a Punch 75. It's got the slightly raised up area for the Rockford. Oh, let me turn my light off here. That might help. And slightly different. And so Rockford made a whole bunch of different, they produced these amps for quite some time, and so there was lots of different production runs of labels, amps, the components inside. So there's some variations. There's variations on, so we got that, and then I'm a little ADHD tonight, so clean out my bowl, let that soak. We're going to set this aside for a moment. Just let those soak in. So Rockford, there's variations of these boards. Some of them are all green like this. Let's see if we can open this one up, see if it's got different ones in it. These are the all green ones. This Punch 75 has got the different style. So let's see if I can turn on the little camera. Maybe we can get a view. See how that's more of a white board, and it's got Rockford stuff on it, and there's a little Rockford emblem. And then these boards are green, and they don't have that emblem on the back. So there was different variations. There was different power plugs. There's this style, and then there was this green connector here. So there was all kinds of variations, because these things were produced for at least 4 years, if not more. The HD series itself. Don't 100% quote me on the numbers. I'm not an employee of Rockford or a historian of Rockford, but for a good long while these amps were produced. So there's lots of production batches of them, and so there's variations in them. There'll be variations of exactly what cap it is. It'll always normally be the same value. Like you see how these are skinny. These are a little fatter. This is a Punch 75 board, and I've got this out to show you some stuff. So anyway, This one definitely has, let's go back to give you the close-up footage here. See all that black around those caps on that circuit board? That is where those two caps back there, these little caps right here, have leaked and destroyed the edges of that circuit board and the traces. And so that's what makes a perfect working amp. You could have had this amp sitting on your shelf. It worked when you took it out. You hook it up now and it has distortion in all the sound, and that is because this, the RCA, the signal comes in the RCAs, and this is the board that processes the sound out to the output channels, and so that's why you're getting scratchy or distorted sound. Scratchy is one of the terms used for it. So as you all know, I have built my own little board to replace it, and this old Punch 75 here I've modified already with a terminal strip, one of these terminal header boards, so that when I build each one of these, which I'm going to be doing after this video, I can plug each one in, and bam, now I can test each one. Now this header board is extra tall, so it's making it where you couldn't put the back cover plate on, but if you install, I made sure the height on these when they're installed fits underneath the cover. And so this Test Punch 75 is going to get these kind of header boards here, 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 and here, and here. And so this is the power supply board, and this is the same for the 75. See, here's, and the 150. So if I have the 75 next to it, so power supply board, these should be the output boards, and these I think are the protection boards. If I'm backwards on that, no big deal. I'll get it right in one of the videos exactly. But I'm pretty sure those are the protection. So anyway, in this test board, I will be installing the headers in all of them so that I can remove these from old amps and test them, repair them, because since these other boards don't have the caps on them, if something like an output blows and it blows some components on here, these can be repaired. They're hard to do. It's not easy, but they can be repaired, and so I'll have a nice test bed to test all the repairs and see if some of them are good, if that's what's causing the problem, blah 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 blah, things like that. So this will be wonderful. This old Punch 75 I don't have a back cover for or anything. This was a deal I got from Chaz, and this was another parts board that I got from him that we'll be taking these out of, and some other parts and stuff. This one's been, somebody tried to take the PMI board out, and they did it, I don't know, with a torch or something, and just cooked the board. So this is just raw. This is all I got. Didn't get a heat sink or nothing with it, and so it's going to become a parts board. But let's get this stuff out of the way and continue on to what we want to do here. Oh, we want this board. So we're talking about the PIM boards, and this is how they'll come, and they will go in here. And so you're going to need to remove Alright, we got everything set out of the way. You're going to need to remove your old PMI board. So if you can see, this one is busted and cracked up here. So one way you can do it, if you don't have lots of good soldering, desoldering stuff, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways here, is a pair of these angled nippers. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, all that. You can also get them in Walmart in the jewelry making section. The hobby area, the crafting section, there's a jewelry thing, and they sell these little flush cutters in that jewelry section, so you can even get them there at Walmart. But you could take a pair of these, and they got little nips and stuff, and you could cut each one of these legs. You can just barely get to them. These boards are super fragile. But you can get in here and you can cut all of them, and that'll make it to where you can unsolder it one at a time. and not have to do it all in a row, because most people can't get this all out in one row without damaging the board. Now the other way is to do just this. Wiggle it and wiggle it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and what you're doing is you're breaking all the legs, and they're all gone. And see, this one's even just coming apart because it's so thing. That's going to destroy this board. If you happen to have one that has maybe just the tiniest amount of damage, it'd be really nice if we could save a few, because every now and then you can fix these. Most of the time you can't, but there's going to be a handful out there that can. It'd be nice to repair the ones that can be repaired, so that we could put a few of them back original for the people that want that kind of thing. Most of us want them to play and sound good, so most of us are going to want this. But that's one way we can get that out. The other way is to use Chip Quick. That's one brand. This is the same stuff, but from 247solder.com, and it's just a solder alloy. And we're going to take out one of these boards here to show you how this works. So you would heat up your soldering iron, and the first thing you want to do, one pro tip: you cannot use leaded solder if you're repairing any of these boards. It messes with the alumina ceramic substrate and goofs it up. You have to use a lead-free solder if you're going to try it. But we go through, and we're going to take this. Let's see what we can prop this thing up a little. We're going to add. I gotta find my spectacles. We're going to have to take a 2-minute intermission. My glasses ran off because I'm going to need them here in a minute. But we're going to add a little bit of solder to build it up to each pin. And then we're going to take this alloy, and it comes in sticks. I'll get a little bit there. And I'm going to grab my glasses before we do this, so you're going to see a quick break. Alright, I got my glasses, so now I'm not quite so blind. I gotta have them when I've got my overhead light off here. Wonder, let's try turning it on if it's going to get glared too bad. No, it won't. Let's do that. That'll help me. So now you take this alloy, and what this alloy does is it lowers the melting point of the solder. You got to get it all heated up in there to mix with the solder. And you just go back and forth, back and forth. If you do it all perfect, the board will just drop out the bottom. Now sometimes it needs a little help, and what I like to do is give it a wiggle while I'm heating it. And caution, these ceramic boards conduct heat very well, and they will get hot. Hot, 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 hot. And they will burn your little finger. Once you get it to where you can wiggle it, you know you've got it down in there. And wiggling it a little bit while you're doing this helps to wiggle that alloy down into the rest of the solder. And all of a sudden it'll just get real free once you've got that all mixed, and it'll either fall out, or you can just keep it heated up and it will just slip out. It's hot. Whew, so hot I can hardly hold on to it. Dadgummit. Pointing my fingers, I should have put my gloves on. Ah, last little tink. So here we have it, and we've lost one leg. Ouch. But it's still in the board. So I will find my tweezers. I'm going to heat up that one leg. did not want to come out very well. And there's the little leg. And once this cools off a little bit, I'll reattach that leg. But what I'm going to do now is use solder wick. I'm going to clean all this alloy off the end of my soldering iron. And I'm going to add some fresh solder. This is leaded solder. We're not getting it up on this board here. We're just going to mix it a little right here. And we're going to suck all that solder off with wick to clean this all up. And then I'm going to come back with my lead-free solder and repair this little leg. I don't know if you can see that there. We need to get all that alloy and all that leaded solder off there. And the beautiful thing about it is the alloy and the lead-free solder has a lower melting point than the leaded solder. It's getting a little long when you start having a hard time getting the heat transfer. Need to cut off a little. You see that alloy is down there on the board. It stays liquid for a long time. And so I'm just going to clean that until they're perfectly clean. And that applies to any of the boards. And then I'll set these aside so I can tell you all this info. And I'll do that in a minute. And I need me a paper towel here to get this stuff up. Don't want that getting on there. So then the same thing will need to be done to the board here. And so let me get our little zoom cam. You'll see the alloy is all bubbled up here. You know, it's soaked through there, and we're going to want to suck all that out. You can take all that out with a desoldering bulb. We'll do one. I'm not worried about it because this is a parts board, but see how I've got that out of there now a little bit. So right there. See, I got a little bit. Now what I would do is add some leaded solder. Once I've sucked that alloy out of the way, add leaded solder to help clean that up. Suck that away one more time, and then we're going to clean it on both sides to make sure that alloy is gone. And you do that to all the different holes, and you should end up with that. I can stop shaking long enough to make it let it focus. There it is there. Of course, that still needs cleaned with some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. And then there it is on that. And so you're going to want to make it perfectly clean. In the next video, I'll show you one that's perfectly clean, because the punch 45 I got here, this is the one we still need to fix the 2 screws on. I'm going to do a video on that. Here's the kicker. I lost a hard drive that I stored video clips on. I had video clips of some of that. I had video clips of fixing up terminals on this, on a Power 100 HD, a whole bunch of other little clips of making the harnesses for this, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I lost it all. And so it's not that I can't redo it, because I've got several of them to make. It's just all that work's already gone. So now I got to redo it. So it's a little bit of delay, but we'll get to it. So anyway, we know this one. We looked at it. It needs that board. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I will, in the next video, we will be installing this and then playing this amp. As a matter of fact, I might play this amp and see if we can get the distorted sound to play first before I do it, and stick this board in and let you hear it. So but that is how you can remove these boards correctly if you want to save them, or if you need to replace one of these boards because you're doing a repair. Like I said, I'll have to repair that little leg on that one card, but I will be cleaning that all up, and I'll be salvaging all these out of here. If yours is totally screwed and you're wanting to do it, you can break it off like we did this one, and then you can just unsolder these one at a time, and you don't have to use the alloy. Because now you're not trying to pull it all out at once. You can just do it one leg at a time, and that'll work if you've got a really bad board and you don't need to salvage it. You just need to get the old one out, pull, desolder each leg real carefully, clean all the holes just like we just did, and then you'll be able to install this board, and away we will go. And so the next video you should see, I will include building some of these boards. And then if I can, it'll either have voiceover on it and it'll be on this sped up, or it will be probably, if I can do it real fancy, it will be, now that we've let these soak, we will put the building, we'll start out with the building of these boards and stuff, and then I'll put it up in the upper corner, and that'll be playing up there, and then we'll crack this sucker open and I'll show you all the tests to see what kind of condition your HD amps are in before you power them up. Like I said, soak these suckers, and it looks like that oil is already all drained into there, so I'm going to put another couple drops in each one and just let it soak in there. These things break so easy, and we just want to loosen that up, and then when we break it free, we can do it right now. We can attempt one. See if we break one. Right before the end of the video, do we have a winner? So I'm going to break it free. Up there it went, and now I'm going to wiggle it back and forth. Back and forth. And I want to make sure I'm watching this screw to make sure that it got going. And look at that. We have a winner. That one's going to come right out. I'm going to put her right back in, actually, so that I don't lose the screw between here and now, because I'm getting ready to set this up to make these boards. So awesome. We will get the other three broke free and pulled out. One thing, I don't know if I mentioned on those, if somebody has painted it, you're going to need to get in there with a Q-tip and some acetone and clean the paint that they've got off there, and maybe a little bitty tiny scraper or a pick, and break out that paint that's in there to get that oil down in there to save these bolts. So all right, well, I'll see you in the next video. We're going to crack this sucker open. Hopefully we'll have, I'll be savvy enough to make fancy video editing, and I can start out showing all this assembly, and then we can put it up over here in the corner, and you guys can still see that while we just do a little checking of this and have a little more fun, two things at once, and then we'll pop in when something interesting happens for these. So all right, if you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, if you like this kind of stuff, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated, and thank you so much, and see you next time.